What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, here with a name you know, and if you don't know him from WWE, from Impact, from Ring of Honor, from NXT, from any number of those places, you know him because I interview him every 2 months on this website. But on May 27th, you can go to his website, freethenarrative.com. The event is up for pre-orders right now, but I had a chance to watch it, and it is unlike anything that you've seen before in wrestling. We got EC3. EC3, how you doing?
Sean, it's excellent to be back here. I believe this is number 5.
Something like just here, like not even including your stuff before WWE, because we did a few then too.
We are like just two peas in a wrestling bubble pod. Look at us.
Yeah.
I know what you're thinking. Why you're wearing sunglasses indoors? You look like an asshole. I'm going to take them off. But thank you for having me back. Thank you for taking the time to watch Free the Narrative yesterday. It was kind of like a rough beta draft. We're going to tone up a little bit, and it's dropping Thursday on Vimeo. If you want to find it, www.freethenarrative.com. It's a very close personal project. A lot of people will complain about their booking or their creative or they're doing this to me or they're doing that to me. Well, why don't you just do something yourself? Try something yourself. Be bold. That's what I did. That's what I did with my dear friend JC, aka the Narrator. We created something unique, special, and we included a lot of people I think the wrestling world and the world deserve to see. So, hard sell done. Let's get to the dirt.
I mean, I watched it. I can tell you, I thought it started off completely different, and it ended completely different. And then along the way, there were so many other completely different elements that I had not seen in wrestling. I thought that it built and built and built, and it got better as it went on. It was a very easy watch for me. I mean, I don't know what you all might add in the meantime, but I mean, like one of the things that was even mentioned was, no, there's 3 hours of wrestling tonight, but yeah. This was not a chore to watch at all. It was so much. It was fun, and it was like I keep saying different. And different isn't always good. This felt like a good different.
Definitely not. So it's like he's low key saying it sucks. It's
so no. Different isn't always. It isn't always good. This was good.
This is a good different. Yeah, I appreciate that very much. We had very talented people that sacrificed themselves for this project. I mean, there was no financial backing. This was something made personally out of our narrative war chest. Which
Dixie didn't pay for this.
Dixie did not pay for this. We're hoping. We're hoping for her to pay for the trilogy afterwards, after this is a huge commercial success, and see the wise investment she can make in her loving young nephew and his insane vision for wrestling outside of wrestling. So
I saw a composition by Serge Salinas in those credits.
Well, there's a big thing about this is original music.
Yes.
Every song is an original or a cover of, like a orchestral cover of songs you may recognize from our past or Matt Cardona's past. So, it's a big influence of music. It's just a compilation of very talented people we've met throughout our lives coming together, creating something different, controlling our narrative, telling stories, not only my story, but the story of so many others. That's it. I mean, what else? Like, who else is doing this shit? Nobody.
And without giving too much away, I mean, there are people that pop up in this from numerous companies, and I mean,
say them all. Say all the 3-letter brands.
All the 3-letter brands.
All the 3-letter brands you saw represented in this.
Well, Impact isn't 3 letters, but Impact, ROH, NWA, MLW, AEW, people that are literally just leaving WWE tryouts right now. Multiple people.
You know what I say to that?
What?
The Narrative's forbidden garage door is always open.
Oh my God. Jeez. So you all also had some incredible video packages that were associated with this. And one I thought really summed up your meeting with Matt Cardona. I think you all had maybe coffee or a lunch. I didn't see you eating anything, so I assume not lunch.
When you watch a movie and, they're having a big scene at a diner or something like that, like, you never see them eating, but sometimes they have food on the table. So you have to wonder, what were they saying to each other before? Yeah. Like, got to the meat and potatoes of the script. What were they saying after? Did they even order after the guy, has a panic attack and freaks out? Like, it's just weird shooting things at a theater. But we had coffee. I think
Okay.
coffee's casual, coffee's cool. I'd like to lend a lot of credit to JC, the narrator for the narrator. I'm gonna bring him in.
Yeah, let's bring in JC,
Bring him
please.
in.
Hello.
JC,
So I've
I've
known-
spoken with a couple of times in the past, and
Yes.
So
And-
our history real fast is we started on indies in Cleveland together, and we've developed deep friendship.
Yeah.
We're both pretty weird and creative. I obviously went on to huge superstardom and fame in wrestling, and he, I don't know.
Let's stuck around doing
let's get you gentlemen to scoot a little closer together so we can get you both in the shot there. There we go. Oh, look at that. Look at that. A couple of pals. Couple pals there. So before we get into that, because I thought that was such a unique aspect of this, I have realized that EC3 hates love.
Oh,
Yeah, he does.
You hate
is it
love.
real?
But hear me out. I'm going to challenge you on something. I've known you for a long time, EC3. Dare I say that this issue with Matt Cardona comes out of love, maybe a different kind of love, but a professional love, a professional respect, so to speak. It seems like you're pushing for him the same way that you were Moose, and I'm sure you love him in a different kind of way. Like, you see what he's capable of. You've grown to know him professionally and personally.
And I think I've created a monster, because when I started controlling Moose's narrative and building him to the physical powerhouse he is, I expected him to become who he's supposed to be, but instead he became a selfie-posting, demented narcissist, caring about his body weight and his aesthetics all the time, and that's not what he is. He's a killer, and that's what we brought him back into the narrative, to find that killer, to find out who Moose really is. Same thing with Matt. I do love him. I do respect him. I honestly believe he was like the forefather of controlling your narrative in wrestling. He's a man who didn't care, and he took a shot, and he created this whole avenue that wrestlers use to get themselves noticed now with social media, YouTube, creating themselves outside of their company's brands. Like, he was the forefather of it, and I respect that so much. And upon our departure from WWE, I just expected him to do something more, but to me, he relegated himself to the same old shit. And I know there's something more inside of him, and that's why I invited him into the narrative.
Yeah, but he's got a pergola now. So why's he? I don't think he does either. He just bought one because Chelsea told him to. JC, like we have seen this evolve. We have seen a lot of this with EC3 evolve, from that first video to stuff with Moose that hit the cutting room floor, from Impact that was definitely clearly more of the vision of this and representative of this. How have you evolved in putting some of this stuff together? Because we're really seeing it all come together with the narrative.
I mean, this is the culmination of a year's work. Like you saw within Free the Narrative, we used the footage of the whole last year. So it was like almost a celebratory piece of art too, at the same time of a dark storytelling piece of art. Where I've grown over the last year, I went from being a creative partner to starting to learn how to produce film, what different cameras do, what different lenses do, how to actually lead a team of cameramen and sound men, and at the same time learning how to direct the wrestlers in ways of just like, hey, here, I want you to be able to tell your story, because I'm going to go back and digest it and find your story within your match, but still being able to, this is the things we need. This is where the cameras are going to be set up, and how to light, how to do production design, how to do motion graphics. There was just so many different things that you saw my name all over the credits, because I literally
Because he's a narcissist.
Yeah, I'm a narcissist.
He needs recognition. No, he worked his ass off and learned so many different traits and things, because this is kind of like, a lot of people have helped us, but this is a two-man operation from top to bottom. And he also lended his voice to the narration.
Which is like, I've released multiple records as a singer and screamer in hardcore metal bands. And so I've done some singing, but like doing the voice acting in the narration, this was the first time of learning how to actually record it the right way, how to do it. Like, there was a certain thing, the pacing, the different voices you want to use, actually like when to not talk. Holy shit, in wrestling, when to not talk and just let the wrestling stand for itself and let the story be told. And we really tried to not over talk, and that was a big thing of like, we definitely are going to recommend watching it with subtitles, because even what we're saying, sometimes we're talking about what the actual fighter is going through inside themselves while you're seeing something completely different in the action.
There are more people that can tell their story through this as well.
I think upon releasing our original version, my little just a cinematic fight to reintroduce myself to the wrestling world, that we wanted to do bigger and bolder. And I wasn't just content signing with Impact or signing with Ring of Honor. I still want to do more, especially in a pandemic situation where the best thing about being a wrestler is performing in front of people and performing often. And filming TV once every 2 months isn't performing for the, like, there's time. There's time to do stuff. There's time to explore different options. And then JC really was a driving force about being a bold and unique vision. Like, why don't we just do a whole, why don't we extend it? Why don't we do a whole show? Why don't we include people you know or I know?
We were learning a lot about our psychology and how to build a central character for the world, and taking some of those, like you hear in the beginning, we're taking one man's journey into self-discovery becomes an idea, then it becomes a movement, and more. And what's interesting about Free the Narrative is we're getting the opportunity to tell 6 to 8 more stories, but it's also how each of those characters digest his ideas, because everybody digests things different. You could take an idea and how they take that into an action could be completely different across. It's playing telephone, with personalities. So it's been very interesting to tell all those stories, to take that psychology to different people.
I think, too, and fans love new, fans love different, but they always they find themselves falling into the same old stuff. Like, we're doing an interview strictly on freethenarrative.com, which is great right now. I've done a couple interviews promoting this, and the buzz clips and the things of that nature are like shit I've talked about a year ago. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
So for a wrestling fan, if you like new, if you like different, if you think people are deserving of opportunities you don't know, this could be a catalyst for at least 5 different people to get their name out into the wrestling world and hopefully find great success. And what the narrative was always about reinvention. It's a place any talent, any wrestler who loses their way can come, find themselves, reinvent themselves into who they're supposed to be. So it's art, but it's also real life, and art imitates life.
Yes. We are blending reality and cinema with the live action of wrestling and fighting.
And keeping the wrestling with integrity, so there's no special powers.
Yeah.
EC3 doesn't transform into a bat and flies away.
It sounds cool.
Matt Cardona doesn't become Slimer for no reason.
Wow.
Nobody's getting.
Wow.
Bill Carr. Bill Carr is a cartoon character.
Yeah,
so.
Bill Carr actually becomes what Bill Carr is supposed to be.
So you said you didn't know William, aka Bill Carr, who's now with Ring of Honor. After you saw a little bit of his stuff, what do you think of William, aka Bill Carr?
Familiar but different. Like, it has elements of, like, when I saw him, I thought he'd be completely like one thing. He has a familiar look, but the attitude is completely different. And I thought that was important.
A crux, if that's the right word for me on that, is like the funniest people you know are sometimes the one with the most demons. So like a guy like a Robin Williams battled so many like personal demons, or Williams like Chris Farley. He's the funniest dude I know. The guy just makes me laugh. And he's such a good friend, but some of that stuff he says, is there something deeper to that? Is there that self-deprecation, that depression, that anger, that death wish, like a guy like a Chris Farley would have? So I don't know. This is real deep.
And he also represents what a lot of men in their mid to late 30s are going through, is a certain depression and changing and maturing from one point to the next, where if you kind of have nothing left to live for and you have a death wish, we're all going to live vicariously through his death wish. And that's a massive thing to say in real life and within the confines of the squared circle. So there's different elements of that.
We do not put smiles on your face.
No,
yeah.
We are going to drag you to hell with us.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
And William's is a really good vehicle for dragging you into hell. And so is Para. There's a lot of that going on with our layers of hell that we kind of put everybody through.
Yeah, there's not a lot of comedy relief in this, but there are some lines that made me go, that was funny. that was funny. Like there was some stuff in there that I was like, okay, that was good, and it was very clearly improvised. The subject of having an actual narrator, now obviously narrator, narrative, derivative of the same word, was that always a plan too, or did it come along like, okay, well, we need to add you narrating this?
I don't think it was initially a plan. I could be wrong. He has a better memory than me.
I think it was more or less like, what was my name in this? And I wasn't even thinking about myself as a narrator right away, as the narrator being the one who tells the story. So it's my responsibility to tell the story in every facet of how stories are told.
Yeah,
so
like
to us, the narrator was really bigger than
this whole thing. Like, oh, we love Fight Club.
Yes,
we love Fight Club.
Yeah.
So like, you're the narrator. All right, cool. And then all of a sudden, I think I walked up to him one day. He's like, "Yeah, if I'm the narrator, I should probably narrate over the story." Dude, I got a lot of tables, man. I don't get no, but it worked out. So
yeah,
and it's something I wasn't sold on until I saw him do it in action. And then some of the feedback we've gotten based on it is like, it keeps everything together, it keeps everything flowing. It's just enough. There's not too much, so it's not beating you over your head like commentary.
Yeah.
3 people are shouting at each other and you're totally losing the focus on the people that are performing.
The commentator shouldn't, like, there shouldn't be anything audible that makes you want to look at your phone. And that's when a lot of the time in wrestling you can be engaged in the match, but because the commentators are so relentless and the pitch they're talking in is so aggressive, they just, everybody's picking up the phone. And we really try to do within 88 minutes of, we try to give a wrestling product where you don't want to pick up the phone, you don't want to be distracted. And that's what's important about it. There's a couple of times where we purposely let it chill for a second so you can have that breather. But most of the time we want it to be kind of that, like, you're engaged the whole time. And live commentary is just, sometimes it's just, you get lost.
Oh, yes.
Storytelling.
But if you do pick up the phone, don't forget to hashtag free the narrative and tell the internet how awesome and innovative and creative and cool and unique it is. Or if you hate it, you could say that too. I don't care. I just express yourself.
The point of art is to, especially with the narrative, we want to put this out in the world and we want reaction. We want people to feel something. If someone's like, they feel negative about it, feel negative. I want you to feel and digest those feelings, and then go back and watch it again and make sure your feelings are sound. Like, these are a lot of conversations we're hoping that that the viewer is going to have with themselves afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you find out if the different is a good different or a bad different, and I admire that. There was talk of the 3-letter companies. Did you face any hurdles in getting people involved in this with those 3-letter companies?
No, not at all. Because people either did it without talking to them or they were cleared. But
the ones that need to be cleared were cleared. The ones that that'll be a podcast that people could pay on our Patreon for. That doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. To actually go into the drama and of the business end of how we had to navigate through a lot of this and the things we learned about different people along the way. Because this, it's when you're creating your roster, you're putting your band together. Not all the pieces are the ones. What you start with and what you end up with are 2 different things. Yeah. And that's also how the wrestling and entertainment business works. Things change and you evolve with it, and you end up sometimes with a way better story than what you even imagined.
And I do think too, the branding of corporate wrestling as 3-letter companies just sounds cool, even though Impact, I don't know, is what, 5 letters?
Yeah.
With an exclamation point.
We mean corporate wrestling, like, when there's money and
7
salaries behind this. We're not like, we have the opportunity as innovators within Narratives, because we are all free. We're all doing this without any corporate company telling us what we can or can't do. It's our job as innovators and artists to try things that those big companies can't do.
But at the same time, we have to respect these companies because we do have respect for them to make sure their talent shine.
Yeah, this isn't a pipe bomb. This isn't a shit on anybody.
No.
This is an expression.
It's just something different.
Yeah.
Because anytime, especially when I was building this fight with Matthew Cardona, I remember talking shit to him at his stupid podcast, guys. It's just like nauseatingly dumb, pointless idiocy just taking place. And I'm just letting him have it. Are you happy? Blah, 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 blah. They're like, oh, I think they're going to fight. Where's it going to be? So, TNA. AEW.
Yeah.
It's like, why does everything have to be branded within a corporate wrestling structure? Like, let's open up the world. Everyone knows everything exists. Let's be bold, different. Like I said, Forbidden Garage Door, they're doing that with their television product. The world's like,
and also too, with that being said, those matches happen within the credit, like EC3 and Matt Cardona, this is their match. There isn't any, like this, the producer credit is going to go to them just as much. Like if this happens in all those other companies, the credit never really goes to performers. It goes to whoever's the lead producer that everybody gives the credit to. And that's it just gets kind of lost in it at that point, you know.
And we don't usually see credits in wrestling as well. So like we don't know who these cameramen are. I mean, maybe a guy like EC3 does because he interacts with them and all that. How
little tip to up and coming wrestlers: if you want to look good on camera, make sure you know all the people's names that film you and be very cool to them, and they will make sure you look great. If you don't, you know what? You care about getting your stupid shit in, that's fine too, but you're going to look like shit. But don't worry, someone will tweet you that you did good. And I'm ranting. Yes, go ahead, please.
I mean, this obviously is going to be different than working with a Kevin Dunn, right? I mean, did you ever work directly with him who was producing what you did?
No, never. He was Oz. He was in the back.
That's exactly what Chelsea Green said. She was like, it was like Oz. It's like the voice of God. You hear him, but you don't see him.
Yeah. And I don't think a lot of people, even at a top level, like, they probably have a personal relationship from being there for a long time, but he's never coming down dictating shots and stuff like that. There's just people around him, and he lives in the truck. And I guess that's cool. And he changes the camera 97 times every 30 seconds.
And I mean, for this, largely the producers are on camera. I mean, like we see almost everybody that we hear as well.
Yes. If we had one flaw, we should have had more cameras and things like that. But we learned a lot.
Yeah, this was our first time putting together an indie film in many ways, and learning, like, there's a lot of these things were the first time we tried doing this stuff, doing multiple camera angles for a conversation in a coffee shop. It was a lot of things. It was our first attempt, and it was, you know, how many videos, how many classes we can take, how many people can we talk to within the business to learn that stuff. I mean, we learned so much about location sound and how to properly do that, how to do location sound with wrestling the right way too, and where to put the certain microphones in the room. And how
lighting is a nightmare.
Lighting is
garbage. I don't know how people figure that shit out. Lighting sucks.
Yeah, and the idea of like being experimental, like we were like very much, you hear in the intro where I say, hey, what happens if you shine a light on the neglected and see what happened that you know like exist in shadows. And we ended up with a lot of like really cool whitewashed images where the wrestlers actually come out looking like angels, and they have more of an angelic feel, and just giving those different perspectives of how the art form is actually portrayed.
I'm so interested about the production of this and how it all played out. And I know you all that is more than we can tackle on something like this, but also there were a lot of personalities on this show. There's a lot of people that everybody is familiar with. There are some that people aren't familiar with, and they're kind of familiar with. A couple of them popped up at WWE tryouts. EC3, did you know that they were going to be doing tryouts as this happened?
The week of our release, we didn't know AEW was running when we were like, Memorial Day sounds good. That sounds good.
Yeah.
We didn't think about anything, but ours isn't. We're not trying to have a blockbuster opening weekend. We're not trying to take the steam out of like a live pay-per-view. Like a pay-per-view is something you watch live. This is something I think with time and word of mouth, and if I ever learn how to market besides stupid social media, things that can expand film festivals, possibly stuff of that nature. As far as the tryout, I did not know it was going to be taking place at the exact same time, but I almost think it's perfect because the experience these guys had. Are the names released? Does it matter?
Yes, I've released them.
Okay. Like a Jake Logan, who is literally an independent wrestler. His father brought him up in Texas, is a wrestler. He's been wrestling for high school. He's moved out. He took his own journey. I met this kid at an indie show right after they kind of released pandemic restrictions, and I'm on some show in Texas, but he just stuck by my head, asked me questions. I live in Ocala. hey, can I come work out with you? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Just pounding on our door. He's basically trying to recruit himself.
Yeah. And he literally was pounding on our door. Hey, can you help me with promos? Can you help me with this?
Yeah.
And like, you know, it was like, that was when we started. I mean, essentially, like Jake Logan was the first guy we started producing, you know what I mean? And many levels, me helping him, both of us helping with his promos, but him helping with his body and mind.
A lot of times young and up and coming wrestlers should find people that have had some semblance of success, ask them things like that, but then they have to listen. And I've noticed people ask for advice. Yeah, I think this, and this. They'll do whatever they want anyways. But Jake took my advice and he dropped 20 pounds. His promos went from shit to really good. Like his promo in the rant room was very good, especially how quickly he came along.
Yeah.
And so he's thankful for that opportunity and stuff like that. Skylar again.
Yeah.
Skylar's a guy, the proverbial good hand who we say in it is sometimes a negative trait. Being very good at your job can work against you if you're pegged at just being very good at that aspect of your job. So he's super popular with some big players, big names in wrestling. Like he's one of the boys. All he needs is a break.
And he's been on everybody's TV, but never as a signed guy. Like he's been on, I think, Raw and SmackDown and NXT and AEW.
AEW a lot. Yeah, he's an AEW.
And in like 2.5 minutes, we hopefully told his story enough. I remember coming up, tearing my ACL, having no job. I had to pay for my own surgery. I had to go back and live at home. Like it was terrible. And then there's nothing to come back to. What I come back to? Firestorm.
Yeah, come back.
Like, there's no coming back to.
Yeah, they come back to like 150 people in Willoughby, Ohio, and that's about it. Like
YouTube video. I don't get Coldplay clocks kicking in with like the most excellent production. Like all of a sudden I'm back and I'm indie wrestling again. So like that story resonates with me, but what he went through at this point of his life, like that's real. That's tangible. That's something I want to know more about this guy.
And he sings the blues. Like he really sings the blues in the narrative. Like
Truck. You think I hate love?
Yeah, talk to shots. Yeah, he really I don't think we even meant that when we wrote the song and we produced this promo. It wasn't until recently, after watching it for a month, going, "Whoa, he really is telling the blues. He's singing the blues." And that's like something kind of beautiful in a podcast world too, to have that different storytelling aspect to telling your story.
And I mean, within the context of the narrative, if they get signed, well, I mean, that's great. You've got a story of someone who got signed. If they don't, there's probably another story to be told there about rejection and, I mean, sort of the story that John Schuyler told leading up to the narrative anyway.
Yeah, rejection. It's the ultimate motivator sometimes too. So we'll see.
And I've talked to Jake. I haven't talked to Schuyler about it, but Jake Logan. I was like, if anybody gets signed out of this, then it's just such a blessing to be able to be a part of them up to the journey up to that point. You know what I mean?
I want everybody to succeed coming off of this. So, because I feel after people see this, there's going to be about 20 people knocking on that door. And I'll have a pick of the litter. Then I can form Narrative Pro Wrestling. We can have a terrible TV deal and commentary team and just nonsense and backstage.
Rake in the money. That's the plan. Sell out.
We never want this to be a promotion. This is something different. This is something unique. It might just be this. Maybe it'll live on. Maybe we'll.
And like more. Control Your Narrative. Like a lot of fans ask, is this CYN? Is this a promotion? Control Your Narrative is, it's our studio, it's our label, it's how but really Control Your Narrative is a movement as a whole. So like our company is Control Your Narrative, but that means it's everything we're producing under that banner. It's not just wrestling. You see in the narrative, we have a spoken word rapper. He's phenomenal, The Conscience.
Yep.
And we have a lot more we want to produce with him. Myself personally, and the composer that wrote a lot of the music, Tom Schaffner. We have intentions of releasing more music outside of just the narrative, just more collaborative effort, but under the banner of Control Your Narrative.
And if you look all the original music, which I think you will, you will have that available, right?
Yeah. Original soundtrack coming out. If you notice at the end of the movie, there was a 9 Inch Nails cover that we do.
Yes.
I'm calling it a movie.
Good.
Yeah, at the end of the feature.
He always wants to call it a movie. We're not a movie because I couldn't think of just we're making movies, pal.
Yeah.
No, we're not. We're making a feature.
So at the end of our indie documentary about pro wrestling, there is a Nine Inch Nails cover we do for a song called Ruiner off of Downward Spiral. It's the singer of Mushroomhead, the guitar player Mushroomhead, and myself. We grew up writing a lot together, and I wanted to be able to come back now that since they've been successful in Mushroomhead and be able to come back into our world and create something. So it's kind of serendipitous to have that voice on the end of it. And the soundtrack itself, there's so many different elements of just different types of music that we approach. There's not just one genre in it, and it's going to be everything from orchestra pieces to really heavy metal to good hip hop to dance music, electronic music. There's a lot of just different approaches that we're taking on it.
And in theory, CYN, control your narrative, the whole movement, tell your story. And if you tell that through wrestling, you tell that through speaking, you tell that through poetry, you tell that through music. This is a forum for anybody to tell their story. Hey, Sean Ross thinks it's cool. Sean Ross thinks it's so cool. He talked me into actually making a promo code for anybody who orders Free the Narrative via the Vimeo, and then hopefully there'll be other avenues. I don't know what I'm doing with it, but on Vimeo, www.freethenarrative.com. I want to check this out. Oh, is it $14.99? That seems a little too much. Money's tight, whatever. Guess what? 20% off with the promo code FREEFIGHTFUL.
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 I don't know, 11:38.
Our intentions, we don't know because this is all so fresh. So our only option right now was to create a streaming, a 48-hour stream, a rental process until we learn about the right avenues and how to distribute it. And that's going to be putting it in film festivals, contacting certain companies and seeing how to actually put this out into the world. So right now it is just a 48-hour rental, and with free Fightful, you get 20% off, which is, we're trying to do that for everybody.
What a deal. What a deal. And
Unbelievable.
and this is something like you don't have to be a wrestling fan. You don't have to ever have watched pro wrestling to understand this, but it's also not dumbed down. And I thought that was a very unique approach in that it can appeal and work with people who have never watched a second of pro wrestling, but also it appeals to, it's not like, this is how pro wrestling works. I mean, there are some stories. It's not like here's the stunt granny in the front row. It's not like anything like that. Although, I mean,
we don't try not to insult intelligence. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of that on TV right now.
The thing because like cinematic wrestling has jumped the shark. Let's be honest. Everyone's this cinematic. But filming wrestling that's true and has integrity in a cinematic style. That's what I wanted to do. That's unique. That's interesting. That's something people could be like, this isn't insulting my intelligence.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something interesting. You were in the hospital. What happened?
I had cellulitis, and then it led to some stenosis. So there was some worry about organ stuff. But I was going very hard. I was creating narratives. I was working on our Front for Nefarious Means here, Justified Prince. I was training 2-3 times a day. I was absolutely going completely psycho boy.
Oh boy.
And I negated the fact that an infection was developing on my arm, because after I had a toe thing, there was an infection, whatever. I didn't take care of myself properly. And then one day my arm was looked like an elephant trunk. And I'm like, let me go to the hospital. And I was in the hospital. And definitely didn't need that. So I guess the moral of the story is, don't ever die.
When you have an infection, sleep more than 5 hours.
Yeah.
So speaking of, we did have one reader question, and that's because I did not solicit reader questions.
Okay.
It's from a Matthew Cardona.
Oh, shit.
And it says, ask him why we call him EC3 toes.
Okay. I'll be honest. Yeah. I'm transparent, I'm open, I'm honest. These idiots, these losers, these adolescent man boys that love the Major Brothers Wrestling Figure podcast and talking about toys made of, I like, okay, 1 or 2 is cool. All right.
Got a few hundred.
That's cool. It's not like your entire room.
Look at this package. Look at this total package. This vascular, hard package.
Being a narcissist.
White boots, Flexi Lexi, one of a kind. Love them.
You can see his butt a little bit.
Yeah. Look at that.
It's got some vintage on there.
He torture racked the Giant. We know Lexi brings it. That's a cool little artifact. That's cool nostalgia in a sense, but to base your whole life on it, and these just like these dorks who would never say a word to my face, even close to insulting, these losers, these nincompoops, these fools, these like they would never dare say it, even though I'm totally the coolest guy and I would laugh at it. So what happened? Why am I called Three Toes? Because I did something with my life. And when I was doing something with my life, my toe tendon tore. So when my toe tendon tore, I said, hey, I'm either going to work on this the rest of my life or maybe I'll get surgery. Well, I met a surgeon. He said, we'll have you back in a month. And I'm like, well, that's not bad. I don't really have to work because there's a pandemic going on. So maybe I could take the time and take maybe a couple days off. Guess what? I didn't take any time off. The next day I was in the gym. Who gives a shit? But these idiots think it's funny because I go reach out to Devon Dudley's brother, right?
Yeah, his brother.
Who's detailing cars.
Oh, Bubba Ray, huh?
No, his other one.
No,
Big Dick.
Yeah.
Snot.
3D detailing. They're great. I bring them all the way down to Orlando. He gives me the brother discount. Guess what? I still tip him $100 because I'm a man of integrity. Yeah. He cleaned my car. He's like, hey, man, do you mind if I get a picture? And I said, you know what? I don't know because like I'm a really nihilistic hate machine. I don't want people to see me like driving around in a fun, cool Jeep. That's kind of weird. You know what? You're a good guy. I'll take a picture for you. But I had sandals on, and these sandals kind of scrunched up my toe. Oh, by the way, the toe never healed right, so I tape it up because I'm a man, I'm not a pussy like these guys. I tape that toe. I tape it up to go to work and kick ass, haven't missed a step. I tape that toe to train legs, squat and leg press, hack squats, extensions, the whole 9 yards. I tape it up to run sprints and sled pushes because I'm a man and I'm an athlete and I'm an ass kicker and I'm a psycho boy. But in that one moment, this ugly toe, it sucks. I hate it. I might sue for malpractice with how bad this toe looks and cite these assholes for personal damages because they hurt my feelings. This toe creeped up, smushed up. It looked like Sloth's dick. It sucked. So it was a bad picture of my toe. Devon's brother, he tweets it out. Hey, nice to meet you. EC3's car.
Cardona sent me the picture.
Yeah, and then they send it over, and then there's like idiot gaggle of goofs. Think it's so fun. Look at his toe. Look at your face. Your face. Look at your face. At least I can go out in public. So yeah, that's right.
Also,
the torn toe tendon.
FreeTheNarrative.com.
FreeTheNarrative.com. We do a bunch of fan service for those fans too. We really respect.
But I mean, would you say it's a blessing in disguise because torn toe tendon made you really good at alliteration?
No, because I don't want to pay for it because I'm mad.
And I mean, you could have a move now called the torn toe tendon, the triple T.
That's just another story I don't feel like telling. That's just the thing about wrestling and like moves. Like you have to act like this is the first time somebody's ever seen you the whole time. Like anytime you perform, you should act like maybe no one's ever seen me. So what are the most important things I want to do? My fucking toe isn't one of them. Yeah. Now, what would be cool? Maybe loaded toe. Loaded toe in the boot.
Yeah.
Well, what are you gonna do if he just like the narrative happens and he spams a Terry Funk spinning toe hold for like 3 hours? Like,
well, I'll have the choice because there's no officiating in the narrative.
There you go.
So I will either submit. I'll either say I give up. I'll either go limp or I'll pass out from the pain. Which I don't know if you can pass out from pain from a toe hold, but if you can, I may just do that. But I won't.
FreeTheNarrative.com. Use that code
promo.
FREEFIGHTFUL. Wow.
Wow.
I was gonna ask you if you were in the ROH bubble because of your injury, but
no, they actually really, man, I hate missing anything, especially because we got a lot of momentum, so that really chat me. But I was in the hospital coming out, but they've been very good to me. And I look forward to July. I look forward to coming back at Best in the World with fans in attendance, human interaction, noise being made, people pounding on stuff, me punching faces, just some adrenaline again. I can't wait for that. So,
well, I can't wait for people to see Free the Narrative. You all can check it out at freethenarrative.com. You can find out exactly where to find it, and you can watch it for 20% off with free Fightful. And like I said, well, it's not a bad different. It was a very enjoyable different. And different is something that I think the wrestling world needed. Anything else you want to kind of get out there into the world?
I'm glad you said that. Different is something the world needs, because they always ask for different, but then they tend to fall back into the same old. So check it out. Love it, hate it. Let me know. If you watch it, DM me on the IG your feedback. I would like to collect testimonials. If you think it sucks, let me know. I'll include it too. Yeah,
we're looking to learn how to create a better product with everything we try. Every time we turn the camera on, we're getting better at telling these stories. So this is a very brave 88 minutes that we're putting out here of everybody's story, and we hope to help grow from it and evolve and mature perspective.
It is a mature perspective.
Yeah.
FreeTheNarrative.com. EC3, I look forward to speaking to you probably in, probably like June 13th or something like that. The next time you have something going on.
Yeah. When do the Reds play the Indians?
Oh, that was Naquin, my boy. Just yoking him out of the park.
I didn't see him. I saw it coming. Whatever.
You did. You specifically told me that when he yacked a bunch over the fence early in the season. But hey, your loss is our gain. Thanks for the free Cy Young Award winner. That was nice of you too. We apprecited that.
I like those guys. I wish he didn't drop the ball in 2016, but whatever. It's only my dad's gonna probably never see an Indians World Series and die a miserable man because of it. But
well, you know what? If Bip Roberts didn't have flu-like symptoms in Game 7 in '97, they would have won it all. They would have won it all. Put it on Bip's shoulders. The legend, the GOAT.
Nosy Mason. Okay. All right.
Thank you for this opportunity.
FreeTheNarrative.com, EC3, JC. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Sean.
Until next time, we're out.